Welcome, weary traveler. You have stumbled across a comedy chronicled of cranial confections, a frenzied fable of bewitching fiends, and enticing expose of eccentric evils. Should you brave ahead, you will find yourself lost, afraid, and cursed with everlasting knowledge of the terrible occult. Will you survive this journey? That I cannot say. But I can say it will be the lore of horror. Yeah, nobody like one in 10,000 people get hired at Google. They get the most applications of anyone.
Indubitably.
All of the questions there are designed to be not they're like riddles. You know how you like love riddles
Yeah.
because they have ambiguous answers? That it's like that if it was a math question. Do you love
Right, yeah.
ambiguous math questions?
No.
Yeah, I mean, I think the question he was talking about is, like, how many pennies would fit in the Empire State
Yeah,
Building?
yeah,
You
that
have 5
Oh.
minutes.
they always give you questions where it's like, how many ballpoint pens could fit inside a Honda sedan? It's like,
That's
okay,
just like an event in the academic bowl of Science Olympiad.
yeah,
There's a
it's
whole event just called Fermi Questions, and it's like
right
ridiculous stuff like that.
there. It's that's the age old question. How many blank fit in blank? How many coconut fit inside
Mhm.
moon? I'm gonna hold on. I need to
I'm
Google.
Oh, there's a
I
horse
want
in the
to
moon,
know!
remember?
How many
There's not much room
coconut
left in there.
fit in
Mhm.
moon?
No, it's the
How
same. It
many?
reminds me.
It's a Quora. How many Oh wait, is that the moon? It's just how many dehusked coconuts fit into a shipping container of 20 or 40 feet?
Oh, that's a very large
Those are
difference.
probably 2 different answers, yeah.
Average
Well,
see,
as
no, this is wrong because they say average size of coconut 8 inches in diameter, average volume of coconut 0.12 cubic feet, volume of 20-foot container 101,360 cubic feet, volume of 40-foot container 2,720 cubic feet, and then they just divide it. But that's not
I feel
true
like they're
because
not
you
understanding how packing spheres works.
Yeah,
Anyway, welcome to The Lore You Know, a podcast where 3 friends and sometimes more dive into the fantastical and often convoluted lore of media that we grew up with and love.
it's
And here to bring you the mostly correct facts about coconuts and completely made up things this week are me, Fran.
It's me, Ethan?
I'm CJ, and I'm here to talk about it's called the cannonball problem because pirates wanted to know how to stack cannonballs better, but cannonballs don't stack super good because they're circles.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's the whole packing circles or packing spheres issue. You can't just divide because coconuts don't work that way. Unless you're
Fran,
gonna chop up some coconuts. Is that
I
allowed?
when I interviewed thousands of people and gave them all the Google questions
Yes.
to
You, the writer of the Google questions.
to apply for this job at this podcast, you gave the best answer about how to fit coconuts into stacks on pirate ships, and that's when I knew I needed you on the team.
CJ asked me how many coconuts you could fit in the moon, and after a little bit of calculating, I said at least 10.
Yep.
And
And it was mostly right. I
mean, a lot of that moon's taken up by Nightmare Moon. Remember, they're in the moon.
no,
so
no,
there's
no,
not
no,
much
no,
you
room
no,
for
you
no,
were
no,
you were
no, 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 no,
you-
no.
I don't know, Fran. You were very elusive on whether or not she was literally in the moon or like was
She
the
was
moon.
imprisoned inside the moon. Yes.
Fran, I will give you this, okay? I recently was going through YouTube and I got a recommendation because that happens sometimes, and I made a podcast that I uploaded to YouTube about My Little Pony, so I do get a good deal of My Little Pony content, and I got the music video from I got
Episodes.
from the movie.
Oh.
And I watched it and I was blown away by the animation and the raw power of this song that this
which I knew because it was a unicorn, but her horn was broken, which I knew made her an outcast because she would not be able to do magic. And she doesn't have all of the powers of the dirty ground horses because I guess they have powers too. So she
Is
would.
this from the new My Little Pony? Because there's a Gen
No.
4 and Gen 5, like the 3D animated ones.
The 3D animated ones is out now, and people are not pleased with it.
They're ruining a lot of. They're just
They're
rewriting.
ruining
a lot of
my
established lore.
childhood, and by childhood I mean my mid-20s when it came
All right.
out.
Both of you need to stop because we could argue about ponies all day
And coconuts.
go watch our previous episode about My Little Pony.
Go watch all of them. But yeah, but there's no time for ponies because what's that? What do we hear on the rooftop? The jingle jangle of Jack Skellington's
I thought it was reindeer.
sleigh. Yeah, the clickety clack of skeletons playing their own bones like xylophones outside. That's right.
It's a xylophone. It wouldn't clickety clack.
It's spooky month, and we're doing Horror You Know or The Lore You Horror. I haven't decided which of those two names is better.
Because the lore.
It could be some third name that you just
the
haven't even thought
lore the lorer you knower. Anyway, we're doing spooky stuff. And what is spookier than the most played out of all of the spooky games? Zombies. That's right, Ethan. Zombies aren't just people who go to work every day and punch their cards so that they can afford their mid-sized condos that they technically don't own because they're part of a homeowners association. It's
just renting.
It's real zombies, the ones that eat brains.
Oh,
Ethan,
that sounds better.
Ethan, what is the scariest zombie game in the world?
Stubbs the Zombie.
That is true, but I have not played that or even know what you're talking about. So I was talking about Resident Evil, Ethan.
Oh,
The scariest game where you punch boulders and you shoot rocket launchers at zombies, and that's supposed to make you scared. But why? Why do we shoot rocket launcher at zombie and punch boulder? That's the real question.
Existential fear.
No, we're here.
How many zombies fit inside Boulder?
How many zombies could fit in that boulder? It depends on the type of zombies. We'll talk about that.
Those you can chop up.
We're going to talk about the lore of Resident Evil. All of them. We're just going to make a bunch of these spooky videos and release them to you guys. And we'll see.
Are there 8 of them?
There is. Well,
how many
Fran,
are there these days?
Well, Fran, if you're going by mainline games, you may be correct. But as you can imagine, there's
more than just the mainline.
Oh my God, Fran!
Oh my God!
Oh,
okay.
we have much to discuss.
Is there a mobile game?
Oh yeah, I mean.
Does this very large and successful game franchise do mobile also?
Have cheap mobile ripoffs?
But that is a good question. We're going to be focusing on the just kind of main canon series today. We're not going to talk about all of the amazing movies and such.
We are not going to talk about all of the silly movies. We're not going to talk about Resident Evil: Deadly Silence. We're not going
Where did that come out?
We're not going through all the mobile games where it's just like you're on, or they're not mobile games, they're handheld games where you're on like a boat and there's zombies there. And that's the game. You just got to get off the boat. We're not going to do that.
That one.
Yeah, it's fine. But listen, Ethan, what is Resident Evil game? Well, first off, it's not called Resident Evil in its home country of Nippon. It's called Biohazard. Which makes way more sense than Resident Evil, because I guess it's called Resident Evil because it was in a house, but that's absurd. Mario's not called homeless Mario because he doesn't live in a house.
Wait, Resident Evil, and does the first one, does it take place in a house?
Yeah, it takes place in a mansion. But we'll you know what, friend? That's a good point. We should
shows what I know.
We should start there. All right.
I have to defend the decision to change it from Biohazard to Resident Evil though, because I can you imagine like in like was the 90s
Yeah, I
a
can imagine the 90s actually. Yeah, thank you.
oh, but no, can you imagine your mom like you telling her, "I really want this game called Biohazard." You're like, what is it about? Zombies. Well, that's wait, is it just a game about like cleaning up filth or no, it's a horror scary game.
No, biohazard because it's a biohazard. There's zombies, Ethan.
Yeah, no, I get that it's an accurate title, but it's not a very good
Well,
marketing title
Oh
for
my,
America
oh my
specifically.
God. So we're starting off at the residence. It's a big spooky mansion that looms over the trees at night, and a helicopter filled with elite tactical squad known as Stars is descending upon the grassy knolls. Stars, of course, is an acronym, but it doesn't
course.
matter because it's basically fantasy SWAT team where everyone's really competent for no reason, even though they're all just like regular police officers, kind of. And we have
It's
our.
because they're properly funded, CJ.
Okay, you're right. We need to give them more money for helicopters and guns, and then they'll take care of the zombie problems.
rocket
And
launchers.
rocket launchers for zombies. You're right,
I
Ethan.
think they already have those.
I was for zombies. You gotta be prepared for anything. We have inside of this helicopter Albert Wesker, Barry Burton, and our two playable protagonists, Jill Valentine and Chris Redfield.
Are those the only two important people I need to remember?
No, you need to
No.
remember all four of these people. They are
crap.
crucial to the story, and there will be many more, Fran.
Oh no. Okay.
So
Is this the tank controller one?
Hell yeah, Fran. So for all of you kids at home who don't know what the fuck a controller used to be, some psychopath invented a control scheme where left and right, instead of moving you left and right in physical space, just turns your body, and then forward and back makes you go forward and back, which is I think that's like how ducks move maybe, but that's how this entire video game is, which almost would make sense, except it's also a fixed camera video game, which means every time you go into a new room, the camera changes to a different perspective. So you're constantly rotating in 3D space and changing your position in 3D space without wanting to. It's very confusing.
And this is not a game where you are doing like wide sword slashes or something with that. You are trying to accurately aim a gun while controlling in this manner.
Shoot zombies. So the four of these people have been called into this spooky mansion because they are looking for the Stars Bravo team. This is the Stars Alpha team. So as you can imagine, these guys are even cooler than the Stars Bravo team. We're going to talk a little bit more about the Stars Bravo team when I reveal to you that Resident Evil 1 is not the beginning of the story at all. But that'll happen.
Spoilers.
That'll happen in the future. So all they know right now is that Bravo team is missing, and it has something to do with this spooky mansion. So they go inside to investigate, and they all get separated like Scooby-Doo characters pretty much immediately. Which is a bit of a problem, but they're elite warriors trained in everything from lockpicking to bizarre puzzle solving, obtuse puzzle solving, I might even qualify it as.
They all applied to Google before this.
Yeah,
so
they did.
They
did their they did their questions about estimating the size of coconuts and stuff. But they're going through this mansion, and something is off. Something is strange. The dogs are attacking them outside, but they're all mangy and like eviscerated, and they're zombie dogs. I mean, if you saw them, you'd be like, this is a zombie dog. But of course, they've never seen a zombie before. So they're like, some sort of scary dog. And as they get inside, there are real zombies that are going around and attacking them. So they are like, oh, I guess these zombies had something to do with the disappearance of Bravo team.
Probably when the undead
conclusion.
did this one.
Well, fortunately, as they're going through the building, they find a member of the Bravo team, Billy. And Billy is injured, but he'll survive. And he's like, "Listen to me, Jill. The stars. There's a traitor in the stars, and I know exactly who it is, and I'm going to tell you right now." And at that moment, he gets shot from someone off screen that we can't see. And it would seem that although the obvious answer is that the zombies did something to Bravo Team, actually, Bravo Team seems to have been sabotaged by someone inside of stars. And so now you're playing Among Us, and all of the stars people are trying to figure out who the traitor is. But it's not you, Jill Valentine, or Chris Redfield.
Obviously.
Well, you're playing as them, so I mean,
Wouldn't
my
that
second
have
guess
been
was
a
to be Chris
twist?
Redfield because that was the only name I could remember from the ones you listed before.
Chris Redfield is not a traitor. He is a good, strong boy who's only on the side of justice. But there is also Barry Burton and Albert Wesker,
Who's him?
the only other two important characters. And it was both of them, Fran. For you see,
Oh.
Albert Wesker had these machinations in play from the very beginning, and he kidnapped Barry Burton's family and said that I am going to kill them unless you help me, Barry Burton. And he said, "Fine, Wesker, you bastard. I'll also be." So everyone else was a traitor. That
Okay.
you don't play as.
Okay.
But it was all because Wesker wanted it to. Well, why did he want that? This is where I reveal to you that Resident Evil 1 is not the start of the Resident Evil series.
What?
Obviously,
Surprising.
Resident Evil starts at Resident Evil 0, which is actually the beginning of the games in the timeline.
Was that released as like DLC someday?
No, it's a standalone game called Resident Evil 0.
Okay.
And it is the game that reveals to us the origins of the zombos. So, let's go back in time to 1967. The white people are running around through Africa and they're like, "This is great. We love it here, and there's so many cool things to do." And one of these cool things they do is they find a mystical flower. And the locals say that people who imbibe the stems and petals of this flower are imbued with superhuman ability, like strength and speed and intelligence. And these white men said, "That sounds pretty good. What if we made super soldiers?" Because
These are ours now.
White people love making super soldiers. It was Edward Ashford, James Marcus, and Oswell Spencer. They are
names I will remember.
Yeah, they are not all super important, but they are capitalists. Yay, we're back to capitalism.
Woo! Capitalism.
They discover this flower in West Africa. It's called the Stairway to the Sun. And they are going to continue research on it. But research is expensive, and you need labs and equipment and people. Where are you going to get all of that? Well,
The government.
there's an easy way to get around that, Fran. You make a company, and then the company can get all the resources that it needs to continue the research. So
True capitalism.
Exactly. So they make the company known as Umbrella Pharmaceuticals. And this is where the Umbrella Corporation gets its start in 1968.
Yeah, it turns out that even though they don't currently have a product with this flower, it's actually really easy to exploit people as a pharmaceutical company and become fabulously wealthy.
Yeah. All you need is a
True
mystical
lessons.
mystical flower.
Sounds right.
They do end up making other stuff. There's these green and red herbs that grow all over the fucking place, which apparently have medicinal properties, and they turn that into like first aid spray and stuff.
Isn't there a blue herb too?
Yeah, that heals poison, but it also makes you vomit up a bug that got planted inside of your stomach if you have a bug planted inside of your stomach. Yeah, it's pretty gnarly.
That's a real specific herb.
Right, yeah, well, there's a theory in Chinese medicine that for every problem nature creates, it also creates the solution. So if it creates
And it
horrifyingly
color codes them for
yeah,
you.
yeah, if it creates horrifying monsters that are genetic offshoots of zombies that lay eggs inside of you, it also make blue herb.
That's good.
So these three men have slightly different motives. Two of them want to become fabulously wealthy and sell a super soldier serum to the United States government to become fabulously wealthy. And the third guy, who is a wheelchair bound man, wants to use it to fix people who are in wheelchairs and other such things. He wants to be able
Oh.
to heal people and then
That's a
sell
noble
sell
cause.
that cure with his
Right,
pharmaceutical company to become fabulously wealthy.
wealthy
Oh,
on the
okay,
side.
well.
Right.
They are both capitalists and scientists, and so they head the research on this flower. But to do so, they're going to need a facility, preferably a secret one, in order to do this research. And so one of the three men, Spencer, Dr. Spencer, contracts a man named George Trevor to design and construct his mansion. And you better fucking believe that this George Trevor guy is like, I will do it, but I'm going to get real silly with it. Spencer specifically asked Trevor to make him a house that was like, that had a bunch of like secrets and stuff. And so
Make me a house
because-
with secrets.
because he wanted to put his secret laboratory underneath the mansion, which is where they're going to do their research on this flower. And so
Were you thinking like a trap door or something, sir? No, I was thinking more like if you could have a medallion that looks like a lion and it goes into this slot here next to the one that looks like an elephant, and that opens up the elevator in the bottom.
but like the elevator is a staircase that like rotates out of a statue. It's like, that's going to be very expensive and hard to make. And he's like, I own a pharmaceutical company. I'm a billionaire in the 60s.
Make me a house with secrets, sir.
Put as many silly solvable puzzles in there. And this all serves to like get into the basement, the secret lab downstairs.
House is definitely not up to code.
Which is absurd, because that means that he would have to solve all. I mean, he knows the answers, but like he would have to do the puzzles every time he needed to go to work in the morning, which is
Aren't the medallions like scattered about the house?
Yeah,
so,
they're like
does
hidden.
this imply that he puts them away before he goes to bed?
They're like
wakes
hidden
up and
vases
grabs them
and shit.
again?
Yeah,
And like
some doors you can only open with lockpicks, and there's like cranks. There's like several cranks. It's
you have to put them back where you found them.
This
or else
man's
the
in a
puzzle doesn't work
wheelchair.
anymore. Exactly. Maybe he just had a backpack of like duplicates of all of it, so he had to like rummage through like, okay, where's the actual crank I need? Is it this one? Nope.
I just imagine as you're searching through the mansion, you're finding all of these secret items, and you do keep finding discarded letters from the creator of the house, like, I am once again recommending to you, sir, that we just use a PIN code.
It's actually quite secure. 17 digits, no one can guess.
No, give me a crank.
Cranks.
Put it in this vase, please.
Different
crank than the other door.
Yeah, triangle crank, square crank.
Axe cranks.
Well, this man's very protective of his new house. As you can imagine, he just came up with all these
a lot of money
fun
on
riddles,
it.
spent a lot of riddles. So what's the first thing you do when someone builds you a labyrinthine house?
You make sure you can go through all the doors.
No, friend, you need to make sure only you are the person who knows how your labyrinthine house works.
Oh,
So he invites the Trevor family to the mansion to celebrate its completion, and he captures them and uses them as human experiments for his dark work. So
That's shitty.
Now Spencer's the only person who knows the goofy house and all of its ins and outs.
But
to
he
be
just
fair,
made him a
though,
cool house.
Yeah, he did.
well, all
Come
right,
on.
Fran. To be fair, I don't think, if I remember right, that he made the second floor of the house wheelchair accessible.
Yeah.
So there was some bad blood there for quite a while.
Well, it sounds like that wasn't part of the requirements. I feel like the requirements were make me a secret house with secrets.
If
It
you're
did not say anything about being ADA accessible.
if the person who bought the house from you is in a wheelchair, maybe he just assumed like, hey, I know I didn't
contracts
put it.
work, Ethan.
I know
If
I
it's not in
didn't
the
put it in
contract,
the list.
it's not
but
required.
You can see how I can't get up to the second floor of my house, right?
Listen, shitty contractors aside,
It's not up to code. It's not going to be ADA compliant. Like, that's just how it goes.
Trevor, his wife and his daughter are donezo now. They got human experimented on. But what experiment? Well, what's going on with this flower that they found? Well, yeah, they are doing research on the flower, and they discover that these superhuman abilities that you get that the West Africans had told the white man about are actually coming from a virus that lives within the flower, which they dub the progenitor virus.
Is that how viruses work? I don't think that's how viruses
yes.
work.
If you eat flour with virus in it, it give you superpowers.
Do virus live in flour?
Some do, probably. I mean, this one does.
That seems wrong, but okay. We're fine. We're in video game land.
So
I mean, it's the whole, like, the virus reprogram your cells, and usually it is to make more virus, but this time it is to make superpower cells.
Yeah.
Sure.
So they are having a hell of a time cultivating this plant in America. The flower that the progenitor virus is within grows in very specific conditions. And
there was a contract to make the greenhouse behind the mansion, but it kind of fell through after the murders.
Yeah, so they need to do something with this virus because they cannot grow these flowers, and they want to make it better anyway. So after using humans for research, like the Trevor family, they are able to create a mutant strain of the progenitor virus, which they call the G virus. And this virus gives its host super strength and speed, but at the cost of breaking down their brain and turning them into a emotionless husk that only acts on instinct. It also sort of makes you immortal because the virus mutates your own cells so that you become the perfect host by regenerating your own body. And so it gives you great regenerative abilities, but as you can imagine, it does turn you to zombie.
Okay, so it's not zombies in the traditional sense of like someone died and then was turned into a zombie. Maybe I'm thinking necromancy.
That would be a necromantic zombie or like a voodoo zombie. No, this one infects living people and turns them into zombies.
Okay, so they never like have quote unquote died.
I mean, they're kind of
they're
dead.
not but they're not undead.
The mind is dead. The body is
willing.
Yeah, I guess. It's moist
but they're not
and
like
wanting. Yeah.
Yeah, so the zombies aren't undead necessarily. They're just zombies.
Right. No, they're not rising up out of the ground. It's
it
infects living people and turns them into zombies.
Okay, got it.
So this research is done by another doctor, a man named Dr. Birkin. And he is also working with a man called Dr. Wesker. So we have...
That's one of the names I vaguely remember.
So in order to do this research, they need plenty of human subjects. And what is the best place to get human subjects from? That's right.
A town?
A town orphanage. Because those kids, no one's going to be looking for
No
those
one knows
kids.
about those ones, yeah.
So, Dr. Birkin and Dr. Wesker.
Is in the 60s, 70s now.
Yeah, and I mean, like, who's gonna keep track of all those kids? Like, I don't know.
We really need to create like a evil bingo card.
Like, child kidnapping.
Steal
capitalism.
Orphanage children. Yeah,
capitalism's
capitalism.
the free space. Yeah,
absolutely.
So, so this house, this mansion, is on the outskirts of a large city called Raccoon City, and through some shady business dealings, Spencer is able to both get the city police on his payroll, and also the orphanage acts as a front to collect children to experiment on. Which, where have we heard this before?
Check the box.
Many times. Paying off the police should be another box.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's just what rich people do. They're all free. It's all free spaces. And it's just all the things that capitalists do to make oodles of money. But in fairness, technically he's stimulating the economy with this one, because he's paying the police to help him, and the orphanage runners, which is also the police. The police are running. The police chief specifically is running the orphanage that they are collecting children from.
Okay.
So it goes all the way to the top. But for some fucking bizarre ass reason, Dr. Wesker, who is abducting and experimenting on these children, decides to give all the children his name, which is where we find young Albert Wesker, who is one of these children that are experimented on. And much like the process that turns Master Chief into a big strong boy, this process usually kills the host. But not young Albert Wesker. He is able to survive the trials and is imbued with great powers that he gets from this mutated strain of G virus.
While keeping his cognitive faculties?
Yes, he is an exception to the progenitor virus and the other failed attempts. Well, they weren't failed attempts. They were trying to make a bioweapon. And they
biohazard even?
Fran, that's why the title's better. You figured it out. Well, they succeeded in making viable bioweapons, but yeah, for the most part, it would turn you into a mindless zombie. And there's different strains.
Except for Albert.
Right. There's different strains. We're barely to the beginning of the story, and we already have different strains of the virus. Some makes you a superhuman, like Albert Wesker, but that one seems to kill the host most of the time, and they experimented on a bunch of children, and he's like the only one who really survived. So that one less viable as a bioweapon, and there's only so many children you can plow through before you need to let nature regenerate them. There's the one that turns you into a zombie, like just a basic zombie. And then there is one that makes you like immortal and also makes you very suggestible to the commands of people, so they're kind of programmable. And then there's all sorts of like in between ones, which are like either failed attempts or like middling steps. So whenever you see a zombie in Resident Evil, it's like, why is this one different than the other one? It's like it was like an experiment. They're all different experiments to make different types of zombies.
Why is this one's tongue so long?
Yeah, why does this one want to crawl on the ceiling and lick me? It's like, I don't know, man. We were just trying stuff out, seeing what sticks.
We
the
saw
70s,
this one,
man. We're experimenting.
This one part of the virus, it actually makes everyone's tongue slightly longer. Most of the time you don't notice, but we said to ourselves, what if we really focused on that part of the virus?
Yeah, it's super weird. But another one of the surviving children that got experimented on was one Lisa Trevor, the daughter of the architect of the mansion. She was given a strain of the virus that was also being tested on by using leech DNA, as they kind of just mixing stuff up together and seeing what works. And that one was successful. They were able to turn Lisa Trevor into an immortal super weapon, but they were not able to control her because it was an early version. And so she just went berserk and started killing doctors. And they were like, this is problematic. We're going to chain you up in the basement of the giant mansion. Because they could not kill her. Like, they tried to put her down and it did not work because they made her immortal. So
did they try a rocket?
I guess they didn't because spoiler, she does not live until like the end of days. She does die eventually. She's not actually
From
immortal.
A rocket?
But basically, like any damage she sustains, she will just regenerate immediately. So like bullets falling down huge chasms, being set on fire, all of that doesn't work. She is
not quick enough.
She is able to survive through all of it. So we have young Albert Wesker, who, because of a combination of genetic experimentation and his own inherent aptitude, becomes a brilliant young scientist in his own right, who is working for the Umbrella Corporation in order.
They employed him.
Yes, yeah.
That's great.
As he grew up, they indoctrinated him and decided to employ
Groomed him even.
as exactly as both a scientist.
Another space.
Grooming.
Grooming children.
He works as both a scientist and as a plant within the police department that they use to maintain control over their puppets that they're paying for.
I thought you meant a literal plant for a moment there because I definitely have seen plant zombies, and I'm like, hold on.
No, so that is how Albert Wesker came to be the head of Alpha Team for the STARS department of the Raccoon City Police Department. So while Wesker is growing up, though, we have a couple new types of virus. We like the G virus. It's pretty epic. But what if we took the G virus? What if we took that progenitor virus that we started with, and instead of mixing it with leeches, what if we put Ebola in there? That could be fun, right?
What?
Well, they do that. And now they've created a new strain of the virus. It's called the T virus, which is the famous one.
That one.
Yes.
Yeah.
The T virus.
That's a big one.
The T virus is very infectious and can turn an entire city of people into walking mindless zombies. Which is
great success.
Which is, I guess, what they wanted. The other viruses, like the G virus, was used to make specific people into biological weapons. I guess this one is just an actual biological weapon, which just will like level a city by turning its inhabitants into zombies that eat each other.
So how did they disperse it amongst peoples, I guess?
Well, we'll get to there, Fran. We're still only in the 1980s. And the events of Resident Evil will not happen until 1993.
Oh, wow.
So the doctors are working on the secret laboratory that's underneath the Spencer Mansion. It's called Arklay Laboratory.
Do all the scientists also have to solve all the riddles to get into the lab every day?
Oh, almost certainly, right? I mean, like they'd have to.
Or is there like another entrance, like
Fran, if you make a labyrinthine mansion, if you put a secret entrance into it that just bypasses all the thing, it's not a labyrinth. It's just
it's just a place.
I know, but how do they reset the cranks after everybody gets in?
They all get their own crank.
Those. No, it's one of those things, Fran, where the lesser scientists aren't required to live in the facility, but if you want to go home at night, you do need to solve all of the puzzles on your way back in. So
like the Google situation, that's why they have like laundry at the campus or whatever.
Right,
so you don't ever have to actually leave.
They're like, well, listen,
ping pong tables.
I'm a great scientist, but I'm colorblind. I can't solve this puzzle. I'm just gonna live here now.
Yeah, it's just easier than commuting. That
I'm sure the commute wasn't good because it's like outside on the outskirts of Raccoon City. I can just imagine.
It's important to note too, like as you go through this, as you like discover these places in the video game, even like the laboratories are incredibly like hostily laid out. So like there's like they don't have a there's not like a comfortable break room. There is a break room with a water cooler and there's like no chairs or anything. So you're just like standing around, I guess, in the break room. And it's like, all right, back to the whatever cryonic freezer lab or whatever I work in.
Isn't that the whole point of like the modern office spaces? Like you guys have stand-up meetings and stuff like that and talk about scrumming and agile.
Right, yeah,
God, I love talking about scrumming.
I don't know what these words mean, but I've heard them a lot.
But I've heard them a lot, and I think they're pretty neat, and I think we should start doing them for the podcast.
Okay, no sitting.
Scrumming is a side effect of the T virus.
It's psychotic to think
that's
that
part
we
of
would do that. So
the super strength one is the being able to stand for all your meetings.
That's why they did it. Yeah, so that and to reduce sick day usage. Yeah. They're like, oh, I'm sick. You are physically incapable of being sick. I made you into a superhuman.
You don't need.
You are technically always sick with a virus we gave you. Cannot use that excuse.
But you sign the contract and it excludes that virus.
All right, so we have a T virus, we have a G virus, we have the progenitor virus, we have all sorts of other wacky bullshit. Things are going great. The three guys who are in charge are very happy with the progress, but they're not happy with each other. As I mentioned, there was a little bit of friction internally with these three boys. Well, one of the three boys had an accident where he was exposed to an in-progress T virus, and he perished due to that. Was it an accident, or did Spencer arrange it to have him killed? It was that one. Spencer had his partner killed, which means that only two of them remain. And you better believe that hostile takeover happens and the other originating member is killed by a highly trained operative with superhuman powers that's able to do a murder very easily.
I know one of those.
Yeah,
Albert
Wesker is basically an assassin for Spencer at this point, and he just goes and kills the other guy. So only Spencer remains and now owns the entirety of the Umbrella Corporation. Spencer is pleased with all of this cool work that's happening. He made a super soldier. He made a bunch of bioweapons that the United States government wants to get its tasty mitts on. And so he's like, this research is going well, but we need more space. And I don't necessarily want the virus that turns everyone around it into a mindless zombie that starts killing each other underneath my house. I just want my house to be where we do the super soldier virus. So I'm going to do the next best logical thing, which is to make a second laboratory, but this time I will put it underneath Raccoon City and have a huge underground interconnected facility that connects both not just to my house via underground tunnels, but also to other wacky places like the police department, which used to be a museum, so that it's most easy to get those orphan childrens into the lab and put them right into the underground facility.
I was really hoping for another Mansion of Secrets, but I guess this is fine.
I mean, I feel like he had a good instinct there where he was like, don't put that under my house. But then he did say, but connect it to my house. Yeah. And you were so close, bud.
Yeah.
You were so close.
Well, it's all about transportation, right? Like transportation costs are huge. Exactly.
Yeah.
So this is the origin of the so it's the Raccoon City Underground Laboratory, which of course abbreviates to NEST. And that is where they are going to
hold on.
That is where they're going to continue their research underneath Raccoon City for the next decade or so. And so we finally get to the 1990s, and we still have the major players. We have Albert Wesker. He is a plant for for
You
Spencer.
thinking he was a real plant?
No. He is a plant for Spencer inside the Raccoon City Police Department, and he's also a genius researcher, and he's also a superhuman who is infected with some G virus.
Makes me feel really unsuccessful considering my age.
Yeah. Well, no one experimented you on a child because you were never kidnapped. So I guess count your blessings.
That we know of.
Oh.
Yeah.
We have Brian Irons, who is the chief of police, who is inside of Umbrella's pocket. And he is running a child kidnapping ring that is based out of the orphanage. And we have the rest of the STARS member, the Special Tactics and Rescue Services, which is what STARS stands for.
That actually abbreviates.
That one actually does abbreviate. So, like, why the fuck? Like, it does. Okay. Do them all or do none of them. Christ. And within STARS, we have both the Alpha team and the Bravo team.
The Beta team.
And STARS works for the Raccoon City Police Department and is not affiliated, technically, with the Umbrella Corporation's own private army that they also own. However, the police department is secretly in the pocket of the Umbrella Corporation, and STARS is a part of that. And Albert Wesker is in charge of that, and he is also working for the Umbrella Corporation.
Right.
Okay.
To be clear, the cops are good. It's just a few bad apples that are making them look bad.
It's like the top one.
The top
okay.
level
I
ones,
always thought STARS was like a third party organization, but it's built within Raccoon City's police force.
Yep. So Raccoon City Police Force has the STARS program as their like SWAT team.
Their SWAT team. Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay.
And,
so they have their SWAT team.
All the elite cops exist there.
And they're being paid off by Umbrella, but Umbrella also has their own military army thing.
Yep, which is kind of like, what's the fucking point then? But
okay,
correct. You are all caught up, and we are, and now we are finally ready to get to Resident Evil 0.
Oh, so that wasn't I thought all of that was.
None of that was in any of the games.
Where did that come from?
Wait, Fran. What would the gameplay process be of what we've discussed so far?
Is it a visual novel? I don't know.
All right. So,
what?
Remember when I said that they were doing research using leeches? Well, they are still doing that because I guess something about
in the 90s.
Yeah, in the 90s.
Oh.
And I guess something about leeches really works with the T virus and the G virus.
Really like sucking.
And Umbrella is doing all this research and keeping it under wraps, but every once in a while stuff kind of slips up and gets out, and they need Albert Wesker to send his team in to go basically kill everyone to keep it under wraps. So Albert Wesker is working as like a cleaner, where he is, if stuff is going badly, he'll send STARS teams to go just kind of clean up the mess under the guise of investigating a strange happenstance that they never actually get around to investigating.
Again, they also have a personal army that they don't use for that thing.
And control the media, I think. Like, they literally own everything, but they're like, well, we got to be very secret. We don't want the people to know what we're talking about, even though we are trying to sell this to the United States Army.
How big is this city?
Raccoon City? It's comparable to like Chicago. So it's like a big city. Yeah.
That's large.
Yeah, well, the Umbrella Corporation has its mitts in a lot of different pies, Fran.
Oh, dear.
And so we are ready to actually play as some STARS members. Specifically, our first STARS member that gets a name, Rebecca Chambers.
She's part of the Alpha team?
She's part of Bravo team.
Bravo team.
She is paired up with Billy Cohen. Remember that guy that was in the mansion who was like, there's a traitor within STARS.
So he got promoted to Alpha team.
No, he's in Bravo team. Resident Evil 0 follows Bravo team, Fran. This all happens before Alpha team is sent in to figure out what happened to Bravo team. This is the thing that happened to Bravo team. Bravo team is is sent in to investigate a train because this train, which is owned by Umbrella Corporation, is it has got these. The leeches got out. The leeches with all the virus in them, and
That's unfortunate.
they turned all the people on the train into zombies. Fuck. So
That'll happen sometimes.
Bravo team gets dispatched to go kill all these zombies, and they do so through the course of the game, but they know too much now, and Wesker needs to get rid of them. And so the Bravo team is able to escape getting killed by all these zombies, and now they know that zombies are real. And they get into their helicopter and they fly away. But the helicopter crashes. What are the chances? Well, 100%, because Albert Wesker sabotaged the helicopter so that it would crash, killing the Bravo members. But they survive. And where did they crash? Why, it's at the Spencer Mansion, no less. And so they seek refuge inside of the Spencer Mansion. But Wesker needs to tie up all of his loose ends. So he and the rest of Alpha Team are deployed to investigate what happened to Bravo Team, when in reality, Wesker is just going there to kill the remaining members of Bravo Team, and then presumably, if Alpha Team discovers what actually happened, kill those guys as well, which is what happens.
Why didn't he just go by himself then?
He does need help, I guess. I don't know. He just didn't want to.
Yeah.
Couldn't fucking be bothered.
Again, this
I feel
all
like as a
could
cleaner,
have been...
he really just made more collateral.
No, I mean, this all could have been solved if they had just sent Hunk to the train instead of the Stars team for whatever reason.
Yeah, at this point, the Umbrella Corporation has bioweapon super soldiers, which are known as tyrants. They are much like Lisa. They are basically unkillable. You can shoot them and explode them and do all sorts of things, and they just keep on going. But that is what brings us up to our opening scene of Resident Evil, where we were talking about before. But now we know it's not brave warriors coming in to help their fallen comrades. It's actually a false flag operation in order for Wesker, and as I mentioned, Barry is under threat of his family being murdered, is also helping out. Which is weird that they let him in on it, but I guess they have collateral, and Jill Valentine and Chris Redfield don't seem to have families, except they do. Chris Redfield has a sister who's named Claire, who he cares about, but I guess they don't have Claire, so it doesn't matter. All that really matters...
No, that's... We need to... I don't know if we'll get into it on this episode, but... We need to get into the relationship between Albert Wesker and Chris Redfield at some point.
Yeah, so...
Are they gay lovers?
I mean, it depends on who you ask. If you ask anyone on the internet, then...
If you ask Albert Wesker...
Okay. He does... They have a fun little rivalry together, because they're on the same team. So they already had like a rivalry.
Oh, they are on the same team.
To be the cool... I get it. They have a rivalry to be like out-cool each other, and then they figure out that Wesker is he's not really a traitor, right? He's always been doing the same thing.
Yeah.
But they discover that he is working for Umbrella, and so they don't like that. And so once that happens, then they go from being like rivals to just straight up nemesises with each other. But
passionate nemesis.
Yeah, of course. But as the Alpha Team is going through this mansion, Jill and Chris are discovering all of these Umbrella things, and discovering the T-virus and all the zombies that it's making. Of course, the zombies were, broke out in the mansion and put zombies everywhere in the mansion, because of course it did. Albert Wesker I said he wasn't a traitor. I lied, like Albert Wesker. He is actually a traitor. He is working for Umbrella Corporation, and he's a secret agent kind of for them. But he also has his own motivations. His papa doctor taught him to watch out for numero uno. And so he has plans where he wants to steal a sample of the G virus and then sell it to the American government to make mucho dinero.
They all want to do that, though.
So he is right, but he wants to do it first. So he wants to betray the Umbrella Corporation and steal their stuff and sell it. Which is why he is agreeing to be in such a top-level position, because he wants to be able to control the strings so that when he gets an opportunity to, say, break into the Spencer mansion and get a sample of the G virus and then get out while a bunch of other idiots are running around, cranking cranks and putting medallions into statues. Then he can do so. So the rest of the STARS member figures out what Wesker is up to. They find like pictures of a science team working on the G virus, and what's that? So this part's really funny. I just have to mention this part because in the original game, they took a real picture of real people dressed up as doctors all in a line, because this whole game has pre-rendered backgrounds and everything to save on space. So all of the graphics they look really good, but they're just pictures. So a lot of the assets are just like pictures that they put into a video game. So they took they took a picture of a bunch of guys dressed up like doctors, and then they superimposed the video game character Albert Wesker next to all of them, also dressed up like a doctor, so that you, the player, know that Albert Wesker is actually one of the doctors behind the virus research.
I'm gonna have to see what that looks like.
So good.
It's very good. They changed it in the remake, much to the detriment of the remake. The original Resident Evil also had a full motion video opening where it had real people dressed up like, it's very good, friend. They had real people dressed up like these video game characters.
But was there a real person Albert Wesker in the opening video?
Oh yes, Ethan.
Why didn't they just use him in the picture?
Because you need to know that the video game Wesker is the traitor.
But there's a real person Wesker who represents the video game Wesker.
That wouldn't play, Ethan. You don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, Albert Wesker is a traitor to both STARS and to the Umbrella Corporation. But it doesn't matter, because remember how I said that they had bioweapons known as tyrants, which are basically unkillable, and also their arms are like gooey swords?
Yeah.
Well,
I don't remember that part.
They come across one of these tyrants that is inside of a Saiyan healing vat, and it's just like floating around in there. And Wesker goes, well, now that you figured out that I'm a traitor, I'm going to have to kill you. But instead of just putting a bullet in your head like I did with Billy, I'm going to release this tyrant and tell it to come kill you, which he does. But this tyrant that he releases, I guess, is still in beta testing, because it immediately just shoves its huge sword arm through Wesker, killing him on the spot. And
that's unfortunate.
And then it goes on the loose after the remaining members of STAR who are alive, Barry, Jill, and Chris. And they're trying to get they're just trying to get the fuck out of here at this point. They have all
Mission failed.
Yeah, they have all of this information and they want to fucking bounce.
That's fair.
Now that Wesker's dead, Barry's like, oh, I'm a good guy again, because the guy who was threatening my family is dead. So I'm with you guys now. So Barry was not a bad guy. He was just being blackmailed, and his family was being threatened. But now that Wesker's dead, he is back on the good guys team. I forgot to mention another very important member of STARS, who is Brad. Brad flies the helicopter, but he got really scared when he saw all the zombies, and so he flew away. But at the end of the game, Brad becomes a brave boy, and he comes back to save his friends with his helicopter that he pilots that he needs to pick up his friends with. But fortunately, Brad also comes back with a rocket launcher, and they use the rocket launcher to explode the tyrant, and they all fly away on Brad's helicopter just in the nick of time. as the, of course, entire facility that is underneath the Spencer Mansion does have a self-destruct sequence. It is activated by the heroes, and they do blow all of it up. I guess
there's a scientist under there that's like, someone activated the destruction sequence! Quick, get the key that's shaped like a puma to stop. No, that's a cheetah, you fool!
You've doomed us! Your inability to tell large cats apart has failed us for the last time. No, all of the scientists have been killed. They do the weird thing where it's like, we need scientists to help us do research on this virus, but also once they do research, it's like, you know too much, and then they turn them into zombies or whatever. Or they turn themselves into zombies sometimes. That happens.
It was the 80s,
yeah,
you know.
Well, it was the 90s now.
Well, 90s, yeah. So, question then.
Yeah.
There was the immortal girl in the facility.
That's right.
Chained up. Did she die?
Well,
did the rocket launch murder her?
Well, Fran,
is she still there?
For now, all that we know is that the Spencer Mansion has exploded, and our 4 remaining members of the STARS team, Jill, Chris, Brad, and Barry, have all been able to escape back to Raccoon City. Oof. That's the end of Resident Evil 1. And now, of course, we've gone through Resident Evil 0, we've gone through Resident Evil 1, and so next on our list, that's right, Resident Evil 3, Nemesis.
Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, but not actually the third one.
Right. Well, it's the third one.
But
in
actually,
well, it
the
is
story
actually
canon,
the third one.
but it's not the
It's
third
the
one
third,
that was
but not
released.
actually.
Correct.
Yeah.
So this, what we've referred to now, is all grouped together as the Mansion incident. Bravo team starting on the train, getting to the mansion, Alpha team following them, discovering all this stuff. That all happens. Which, guess what? They bring all of this stuff that they have discovered to the police chief, Chief Irons, and he goes, that's fucking bullshit, dude. There's no way there were zombies. And also, the mansion blew up, so there's not even any evidence that what you're saying is true. Even though they're like his SWAT team, and it's like, these are the people that would do that.
All right, listen, I know that he's evil and he's like in their pocket and such,
but
also
evil.
they came to him. He gives them orphans to experiment on. Fran, he's evil.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that part.
Yeah,
but also when you come and start talking about zombies, I feel like it's your manager's job to say, no, that's bullshit. No, you were not late to work because of zombies, okay?
All right. Well, I'm just saying, like, a bunch of them died. So, like, why would... But it doesn't matter. Obviously, this is happening because Chief Irons is in the pocket of Umbrella and is doing a cover-up. The surviving members of STAR are like, this is bullshit. Chief Irons is covering all this stuff up. We are going to go rogue. We're going to leave the department, and we are going to start investigating on our own because we're going to find the truth. So Chris, Jill, Barry, and hey, guess what? Rebecca survived. So she's also out and about doing stuff. But
I'm also here.
Yeah, but like I said, she doesn't come up as much and nobody cares about her, but she is the only surviving member of Bravo team. So they are the people, they know the truth, and they're trying to discover what Umbrella is up to and how deep does the rabbit hole go. So Chris is like, well, I'm out of here. I'm going to Europe to go investigate, because Umbrella Corporation has got their fingies and lots of pies, and he's got a lead that there's some shenanigans going on in Europe. So he goes off to investigate that, and Jill stays in Raccoon City to investigate further. And this is when we get to the beginning of the gameplay of Resident Evil 3: Nemesis. So you remember that there are Tyrant class mutated. They're called BOWs, which is just the Yeah, well, it's the shortened abbreviation for the bioweapons, which
Okay.
are just like mutated organisms, like people or whatever, that get
Mm-hmm.
turned into super soldier weapons.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of these kind of tyrant-ish class things is known as codename Nemesis. And it is a successful experiment by the Umbrella Corporation to create a super soldier that was completely obedient to all of their demands, and wouldn't kill their own guys by stabbing them in the chest.
Unlike Albert.
Unlike the one that Wesker activated, which he was immediately stabbed in the chest.
Yeah.
Whoops.
And you were asking how the T virus got around. Well, sometimes when you do research on a highly contagious virus that was made from the Ebola virus mixed with like leech DNA mixed with a special flower that you found in Africa, you accidentally get a little bit of that into the water supply for
Of
an entire
course.
city. So
Yeah.
everyone who drank city water turns into a zombo in Raccoon City, which is why I use a filter.
Whoops.
But
The charcoal filter really does a lot.
I would imagine it would feel, well, viruses are really small. You know what? I'm not going to say that. Hey, if you don't want to get virus, only drink bottled water and use bottled water to wash your hands and put it in your toilet.
Even though bottled water is also from like
Fran,
municipal water.
don't big water is going to come after us if we let people know that on our podcast. No, it's special water. It's special water. It comes from a special thing that makes it good.
In Ohio.
Yeah.
I only drink bottled water that has the no T virus guarantee across the bottom.
But what about the G virus? Anyway.
Oh, I mean that'd be good, right?
Yeah, that one turns you into superhuman.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just kills you though.
Yeah, usually it kills you though. Usually, like I think it was 93% of the time it kills you.
Well,
so
if the sample size is only like 24 kids,
if you think you're
and one of them made it out, I feel like you have pretty good
right.
chances.
That's not a great sample size. Well, if you were like Albert Wesker, then you would survive. But I do not think you are because he is radical and he wears awesome sunglasses. He's getting his sunglasses. All right.
Awesome sunglasses. There you go.
Okay, here's a little treat for you, audio only. The sound of Ethan putting on sunglasses so that me and Fran and whoever's watching on the YouTube video can see. I like it. So the Nemesis is online, and Umbrella does not like all of the things that Jill Valentine has discovered. So they say, Nemesis, go kill Jill Valentine, which is happening at the same time for some reason that the huge outbreak in the Raccoon City water supply starts to infect all of the people and turn them into zombies. And this is the first big zombie outbreak that defines the rest of the world in the Resident Evil world, because this zombie outbreak is, you can't cover this one up. It's a whole city. Everything is being destroyed. But still, for some reason, they send Nemesis after Jill Valentine because she knows too much. And so the majority of Resident Evil 3 is just Jill trying to survive the zombie outbreak in the city. And she meets up with Carlos. And the two of them have a little bit of a will they, won't they vibe, because Carlos is a bit of a flirt. But he also works for the Umbrella Corporation's private military, which has been assigned with killing all of the zombies because they don't want all of the zombies to get out. Because it's hard to sell your stuff to the United States government when the entire world is zombies.
Well, they probably should have focused on putting like a barricade around the city first.
And so
they don't want the zombies to get out.
Well, they do, and they keep they're trying to keep all the zombies in Raccoon City. That's the plan.
Yeah.
And so Nemesis is chasing around Jill. Carlos is, even though he works for the Umbrella Corporation, he's kind of an idiot, and he doesn't realize that this is all Umbrella's fault. He's not a bad guy. He's trying to do the right thing. But his team has their own Albert Wesker style dude who is in the pocket of the Umbrella people, who is also trying to kill Jill Valentine because the Umbrella Corporation wants Jill Valentine dead.
Yeah, to be clear,
aren't they all in the pocket of Umbrella technically?
Yeah, I was just, to be clear, he works for the Umbrella Corporation, but he is on the side also in the pocket of them.
Right.
To do the extra evil stuff.
So the Umbrella Corporation,
2 layers in.
Well, yeah, the Umbrella Corporation has this private militia, and they are using it to kill all these zombies, and they're doing it as like a sign of like a show of good faith to the people that like, oh no, this weird mysterious outbreak happened, but don't worry, your friendly pharmaceutical company with their private army is going to dispatch a bunch of people to protect the remaining citizens and to clean up this mess. We have no idea where this biological weapon came from, but we are ready to help you guys.
Is there anyone left besides Jill?
In Raccoon City, it's mostly just like pockets of survivors. There's like people trying to hide. There's people who
you just had to luckily not drink the water.
Yeah, there's people.
I feel
there's people who are trying to protect, the few people that remain. That's kind of what these private militia guys are doing, and that's why Carlos thinks he's a good guy, because he is killing zombies and he's trying to protect people. But he says he does not realize the purpose of the military group that he is a part of, and so when his captain turns on Jill Valentine and tries to have her killed, then he goes with Jill and he switches to her side, and the two of them work together to survive the initial outbreak, and over the course of the game are able to stop the nemesis again by blowing it up with just like 1,000,000 rockets.
Yeah, I feel like what I've learned is that rocket launchers are the most effective weapon against zombies.
Well,
which is why we should be funding our police departments.
That's the other thing about the Nemesis T-type, is that he does kind of seem to be smart, so he does use weapons. So although they need to use a rocket launcher on Nemesis, they get the rocket launcher from Nemesis, who had the rocket launcher and was using it to shoot at them. So Nemesis is a biological weapon that can't be stopped, but also they give him guns and stuff to complete his mission. But Carlos and Jill are able to survive the zombie outbreak and defeat Nemesis, and Jill needs to meet up with the rest of Stars. She's feeling isolated, and she is wanting to get back to like Barry and get in contact with Chris. But before the game ends, she is infected with the T virus, and she is able to treat it for now. So while all this is happening, Chris Redfield, the main character from the first initial game, I wonder what his sister's up to. Well, she's trying to find him.
Is she from Raccoon City?
Yeah. So the younger sister of Chris Redfield, Claire Redfield, is trying to get in contact with her big bro. She knows that he is an agent for the Stars group in Raccoon City, but she does not know all of this zombie outbreak bullshit. And he has been lying to her about vacationing around Europe and stuff like that, because he does not want her to get involved in all of this wacky Umbrella Corporation bullshit. So he has been under the guise of vacationing through Europe and sending his sister postcards and stuff like that so that she doesn't worry. But he starts to lose contact with her, and then she starts to get worried. So she goes to the only place where she knows people that could maybe get her in contact with her big brother, which is the Raccoon City Police Department. So Claire Redfield is traveling to Raccoon City to find out more of what happened to her brother, because she doesn't know where he is or what he's involved in. And
where was she before this? If she's what?
She's like college age. She was like out doing college girl stuff.
Okay.
Like just
so she's coming home.
She's coming to find her bro. I don't know if they're from Raccoon City, but it doesn't really matter, because that's where she knows her brother works there, and she's hoping she can find someone who can get in contact with him.
Got it. Which makes sense now as to why Umbrella Corps maybe didn't kidnap her originally.
Right, because
she wasn't like
right,
in the proximity.
Yeah, Chris
Yeah.
kept her at a real arm's length for that exact reason. I don't even know
Got
if he
it.
told other people about her because
she was the head of a sorority, and it just would have been too suspicious if she disappeared.
right.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you go into a sorority, so it's harder to kidnap you. I assume that's why they exist. Otherwise, they're very strange places.
Oh man, if I knew that, I would have rushed one.
Claire is going to go look for her brother. And on the way, she meets a young up-and-comer police officer who's going to quite literally start his first day on the job as a Raccoon City police officer. A young, beautiful-haired man named Leon S. Kennedy.
Is his last name really Kennedy? I did not know that.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Leon Kennedy.
He's a Kennedy.
He is he's just a regular cop on the beat. This is his first day, so he has police training, and that's it.
Okay.
But he is reporting to his first day on the job when something strange starts happening. He is driving his squad car, getting ready to, I guess, go to work, which is weird because he's driving a squad car, so presumably he's already at work. But the gas station attendant starts attacking him, and that's fine. He has police training, so he puts a bullet in them. But while he's there, he meets up with Claire.
Yeah, he was made for this job.
While he's there, he meets up with Claire, and Claire goes, "Oh, you work for the Raccoon City Police? That's perfect.
I can tell because you shot a guy.
I can tell because you shot a guy without hesitation." I need to get to the Raccoon City Police Department because I need to find my brother, Chris Redfield. And Leon goes, "I know Chris Redfield. He works in the STARS department at the police department that I work at."
Okay.
So
all right.
we can travel together to the police department and keep each other safe. And we won't ever get split up and have two different side adventures when we get there.
Of course.
So Leon Kennedy and Claire Redfield are going to the police department. And in the background of all of this, the events of Resident Evil 3 Nemesis are unfolding. The main city outbreak is just beginning. And so
it's like concurrent.
Yes. So Claire is off getting chased by Nemesis in one part of the city. But Leon and Claire are going to the police department to find more information about Chris Redfield, and Leon is just helping with that because he's got nothing else to do. So Leon and Claire get to the police department. Whoops, they get separated almost immediately. And Leon is going through the police department. He is a little unfamiliar with it because it's like his literal first day on the job. But he discovers that the police department used to be a museum made by an eccentric architect who put a bunch of puzzles and bullshit in it, which is why the police department has a bunch of puzzles and bullshit in it. And of course, because the people who run the Umbrella Corporation inherently like that silly bullshit and needed to connect their underground facility to the police department, they did connect pathways from the Nest laboratories underneath the city to the police department via a bunch of wacky medallions and bullshit like that you have to insert into statues to make spiral staircases.
Seems reasonable.
Oh, it's so good.
It's pretty good. Well, Claire is realizing that her brother is wrapped up in all of this zombie bullshit, and she is not able to get in contact with him, but she does discover the research that he's been doing and sending back to the remaining good members of STARS, namely Jill Valentine, who is his main contact. Remember how the head of the police department is in charge of an orphanage where they kidnap children and do experiments on them?
Yep.
Well, there's one child that's important in particular, Sherry Birkin, who is the daughter of one Dr. Birkin, a researcher for the Umbrella Corporation, and one
adopted daughter?
Nope. Biological
actual daughter.
Biological daughter of Dr. Birkin. Dr. Birkin wants So stupid, man. Dr. Birkin also wants to betray the Umbrella Corporation like Albert
Hell
Wesker did.
yeah.
Everybody.
He wants to take his new virus and sell it to the American government for buco dinero. However,
Was there just at some point like some American government agent who like did a tour of the facility? It was like loudly, these sure are some interesting sciences you're working on. I sure would pay a lot of money to whoever brought this to me.
which is inherently how business contracts with the American government work, but whatever. So, Dr. Birkin is going to betray the Umbrella Corporation. So,
Okay.
they are going to take his daughter into the orphanage facility, which is being monitored by the police chief. And actually, there are two Dr. Birkins. A boy Dr. Birkin and a girl Dr. Birkin, who is Sherry's mother. They're a married couple who are also very smart doctors. But the Umbrella Corporation figured out this plan of the male Dr. Birkin, Dr. Daddy Birkin, and they have him killed by one of their private militia teams, if you can believe. But he had a plan because he made a cool G virus that, as we know, makes you invincible. So before he died, after being shot like 1,000 times with bullets, he's still able to inject himself with the G virus. And doing so turned him into a monstrosity, but kept him alive and kind of remembering his old memories, though not really. Upon seeing what happened to her husband, the mommy Birkin decides that he needs to be put down because he's turned into a giant monster with a huge arm that has a giant eyeball in it, and he's running amok.
Oh, it's that guy.
It's that guy.
I vaguely remember this from the game.
That's poor spousal communication. It sounds like they weren't really on the same page for any of this.
So, what do corporations love to do besides have their employees betray them and steal technology? They love
kidnap children.
They love to hire corporate espionage spies to infiltrate companies and steal their stuff. Enter Ada Wong, a corporate spy who has been tasked with infiltrating the Nest facility in order to get the sample of the virus that Dr. Birkin was working with so that she can bring it to her company and they can sell it to the American government to make buco dinero.
Why? There's so many people who are trying to sell this virus to the American government.
Right. Well, she says that she's an FBI agent, but that's not true. She's a corporate spy. So
what's the difference?
I just thought that I'd do the big reveal because it doesn't matter. Ada Wong is yet another character who will betray anyone at the drop of a hat for her own reason that she was like, actually, I was working for myself this whole time.
She's another beautiful lady who more or less throws herself at Leon, and he's like, what?
She actually kind of has control over Leon because for a long time she just kind of shows up in Leon and Ada are kind of intertwined in their stories for the rest of the game series. So while all this Dr. Birkin stuff is happening in Nest, Leon is uncovering the secrets to the police station up top and discovers the pathway to the Nest facility and meets up with Ada Wong, who wants to explore the Nest. She says it's because she's an FBI agent who's trying to investigate. And he's like, well, I work for the cops too, so I'll help you investigate. Also, you're so beautiful. And she gives him a big smooch, and then he's like, all right, I'll follow you. And then obviously Ada just wanted to get into the facility to get a sample of the virus, and she betrays Leon at the end. But Leon is kind of an idiot, so he
But
deserves it.
in a flirty kind of
Yeah,
way, so it's all right.
She's like, you can check out my ass while I leave you in this facility that's set to self-destruct. While Leon and Ada are doing this, Claire is uncovering the whole child kidnapping ring that's happening up in the city. She is able to find Sherry Birkin, who is being, who's, being corralled by the police chief, and the police chief is like, "Get out of here, girl! You don't know what you're talking about." And so Claire helps Sherry get out of the clutches of the police chief. And Sherry is, as the daughter of the two doctors Birkin, she was given a necklace medallion pendant by her parents, which
Does it open up a statue?
Which is very important looking through the whole game. And at the end, Claire figures out that the pendant contains a sample of the virus that her parents were working on for some reason.
Yes, put it in the hands of a child. Good.
So
you see,
I mean, they managed to get in the water supply, so I don't know.
You see, the idea was that if both of her parents mysteriously died, she could sell that virus to the American government for buco bucks.
Yes.
Dinero.
And she'll be taken care of forever.
Well, it's actually not a sample of the virus so much as it is a sample of the virus that is used to create a vaccine for the G virus.
Oh.
So she holds the key, Sherry, unbeknownst to her, holds the key to the cure for the G virus that her parents made, which is, I guess, why they gave it to her, because it's like a cute way to try and protect your daughter, even though they did a very bad job of it.
Wait, so this is the vaccine to cure everybody in the city, in theory?
No, that's the T virus.
Oh, it's a different letter.
Yeah, this cures the G virus. The T virus turns you into a mindless zombie, and then you're basically dead. The G virus infects you and turns you into a superhuman, but sometimes it makes you kind of hypnotized by Umbrella.
Okay.
Sometimes. It depends. Like I said, it depends.
Too many letters.
Not when it was Albert Wesker, but yes, when it was Tyrant.
Anybody else.
And yeah. So whatever. So this is the special new G virus that the Birkins made. And Sherry holds the cure to it. And now she is with Claire. And so Claire has the key necessary to create the vaccine for the G virus. So this is when Claire and Ada and Leon all kind of meet back up. Leon, who's there for good reasons, is like, "Oh, we need to create this vaccine so that we can bring it to the world, so that we can cure this crazy virus that Umbrella has." And Claire agrees, but of course Ada betrays her. She just wants the G virus so that she can sell it for buco dinero.
I feel like you'd want both.
You would think? You would literally fucking think so, right? But nope, she literally only wants the virus. The only sample of the virus that remains is with the other Dr. Birkin. They have to put down the male.
Mom?
Yeah. They have to put down Daddy Birkin because he is a monster now. And once they do so, then Ada is trying to get the remaining G virus sample from Mommy Birkin. But she is also killed. And she takes the virus and throws it into a huge hole. Like the nest facility that is built underneath the ground under Raccoon City is just a chasmous hole with like buildings
with more giant holes.
Yeah. So I don't think that's the kind of foundation you can build a city on, but I don't know. I guess I don't know that much about building
sinkholes
city.
come from somewhere, I guess.
I guess it's actually fucking absurd.
The guy who made all of those like puzzle buildings, he was actually the greatest architect who ever lived. He just also was really into puzzle stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Dr. Birkin and Dr. Birkin,
yep.
Husband, wife. Okay, he's infected with the G virus. He turns into a monster.
Yep.
And his wife.
Then Leon kills him. And then his wife,
Lady Dr. Birkin.
Mm-hmm.
She's what? I guess I lost what she did.
She died.
She just died.
Lady Birkin. She had the last G virus sample.
Okay,
and
the final sample of it. Got it.
Yeah, and then Ada took it. And then Ada is trying to escape with it, but Mommy Birkin shoots her, and Ada and the sample fall into the deep chasm hole.
Oh.
So
Ada falls into the deep chasm?
Yeah, so Ada's dead.
Oh.
She falls into a deep hole with the G virus. And also Mommy Birkin perishes as well. She was very injured from all this zombie shit and from the clash with Ada, and so she is dead now too. And what does she do before she dies? That's right, sets the self-destruct sequence for the entire Nest facility, because why not?
Why not?
So Leon escapes. He's like sad that Ada's dead. But
she betrayed me, but
she's so
attractive.
She had rockin' baps, dude. She's a hot dude. But Leon is able to meet back up with Claire and Sherry, the surviving daughter of the Birkins, and the three of them are able to take the vaccine sample and escape the exploding facility, and the three of them go and get out of Raccoon City, and it is implied that Leon goes on to continue to try and figure out what to do with all of this knowledge that he has about that, and Claire is now taking care of Sherry, and they have brought the vaccine to light, and there is hope, and maybe, just maybe, the zombie outbreak can stop. But
it's for the wrong virus.
It's
for the G virus, not the T virus.
Yeah, well,
so it doesn't actually help anything.
Yeah, so the fact that the people who have the G virus are basically immortal means that the vaccine is the only viable weapon you have against people who are infected with the G virus, because otherwise they'll either turn into superhumans or giant armed monsters with huge eyeballs in them and just start running amok. So with the vaccine, which is not how vaccines work, you can't give it to a person after they're infected and they get better. But the vaccine becomes a weapon to be used against people who have the G virus.
More of a neutralizing agent, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like rocket launchers were doing just fine, but whatever.
Okay. So Nest is exploded. It's gone, and
it exploded.
It exploded. Fran, when you build a giant underground facility underneath a city to do scientific research in, what's the first thing you do after you do that?
Make sure it has a self-destruct button.
That's a good point, Fran. What's the second thing you do after you got the self-destruct settled?
Make sure that the way to get into the facility is super convoluted and everybody needs their own series of medallions and cranks to access it.
That's a good point, Fran, but the correct answer is you make a second underground facility underneath the same city, and you call it Nest 2, which is
connected?
Which is a thing that exists. Apparently not, because this one did not blow up.
Was this one under Nest 1? So it went city, Nest 1,
it would
Nest
have
2.
to be like beside it, right? Like, because if it was under it and it blew up, it would fall down on top of it.
I'm imagining there's kind of like a chain, right? There's mansion facility, then Nest 2, then Nest 1, and Nest 2 currently has on either side of it self-destruction.
Yeah.
They're kind of like, I don't know, guys. Maybe we should not press that button over here.
Yeah. Well, there's another underground facility. It's called Nest 2. And the only reason it's important because we have a character that we know is infected with the virus. If you recall, Jill Valentine got infected.
Yeah.
Jill is dying. She's infected with the T virus. And the Nest facility that has all the research to make vaccines for stuff has just exploded. But it's okay. There's a second Nest facility called Nest 2. And Carlos is going to find a vaccine to take care of the T virus so that he can save
good researcher and scientist.
Yeah, well, he's a soldier and an idiot, but I guess he's going to look for it.
Where are we at game-wise?
This is in we're back to Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. So remember, Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 happened at the same time during the outbreak in Raccoon City. So after Nest 1 is blown up, Nest 2 is still fine, and so Carlos is going around in Nest 2 looking for the vaccine to the T virus to save Jill, which he finds.
How sweet of him.
They get it.
If you're working on a very infectious disease and you do have a vaccine for it, it seems weird that you don't make your scientists take the vaccine.
This isn't like an actual vaccine is what we've learned. It's not like a preventative one. It's a
this one, right. This does not stop you from getting the virus. This cures you of the virus once you have it, but you have to take it after you get infected, but before you turn fully into a zombie. Otherwise, if you're a zombie, you're just dead, basically.
The window is just so short.
It is, and quite honestly, if you're a pharmaceutical company with a window that short, it's hard to monetize that. So there's really no reason to have invested into that. But we're almost at the close of this Raccoon City story, because while Carlos is running around looking for a vaccine, he gets word that the United States government, the people who are very interested in purchasing this zombie juice, has decided that the outbreak in Raccoon City is too dire and they need to have a plan to deal with it. This plan is to carpet bomb the city into oblivion.
Oh, it is rockets.
Yeah, they're going to blow up the entire city of Raccoon City in order to stop those zombies.
How many days does this take place over?
So this has been like 2 days. The outbreak happens.
That's some fast government response. I'm impressed.
The outbreak happens. The city goes to shit, and then they decide that they're just gonna blow it up.
Cut our losses.
Wow, that is impressive in terms of
government is
response.
the government is usually faster on response when it comes to blowing things up than it is to like sending aid or the like.
Yeah, you're right.
So Carlos is able to cure Jill Valentine, and the two of them get betrayed by Carlos's team leader. We already talked about that. But he's unsuccessful, and the two of them are able to escape the city before the United States government destroys it with missiles. So Carlos is alive, and Jill's alive, and Leon escaped, and Claire escaped, and Sherry
with the child.
And Sherry is with Claire. They do not say what happens to Sherry. They put her in an orphanage. Hopefully that one's not controlled by Umbrella, though it probably is, so whatever.
Just put her in an orphanage and leave her there?
Yeah, I guess. And so Leon and Claire have vowed to take down the Umbrella Corporation because of all the bad things that they did. Claire still needs to find her brother, though, and they are she goes off on her own journey. She has to go find Chris, who is in Europe, and they reunite, and the siblings Redfield are both on the same team now, and they are like, we got to take down the Umbrella Corporation. So
all right,
so we have Leon and the Redfields, Chris and Claire, and Jill Valentine, and Carlos technically, but I don't think he comes up at all later.
Okay.
And against them is the Umbrella Corporation, who is, making cities into zombies, and then the American government's blowing up those cities.
It was unintentional.
But
they didn't mean to turn the entire city into zombies.
We're sorry.
Actually,
they really didn't mean to.
That's what it's supposed to do, but they didn't try to do it on themselves.
They didn't want to do it to an American city.
Right. Unless the American government decided that that's what they wanted, because again, they're just going to sell it to the highest bidder, so.
I mean, right, the Umbrella government, they're not choosing which city gets blown up. That's not them. They're just making the thing that does zombify the city.
Yeah.
They're morally exempt from any of the bad stuff.
Hands are clean.
And so that's where we will leave these characters for this episode. We know that the Umbrella Corporation has made a bunch of scary zombie stuff. What more could there possibly be? The city that this outbreak happened was destroyed, and all of the zombies with it. The betrayers, Albert Wesker and Ada Wong, all fell in a downfall to their own
Holes?
A downfall to their own hubris in each time, and our heroes have all the information they need to take down Umbrella. Surely there can't be 100 more games after this.
What happened to the immortal child that was chained up underneath the mansion? Anything? No?
Maybe a question.
Not this episode?
Maybe a question for another day, Fran. Ethan, do you have any open questions you're thinking about Resident Evil?
Whatever happened to Brad?
Oh, Brad.
The helicopter
pilot who got too scared at the beginning of the game and flew away, but then was a very brave boy at the end and came back to save the remainder of his friends.
The friends who lived.
That is where we will end Resident Evil for now. We are going to bring more spooky content all this spooky month of October. So we will be having more Resident Evil, as well as some other very scary things in the works. Woo! Make sure to stay up to date by following at Spices With on Twitter. Oh, brand plugs, the scariest of things. Make sure to watch twitch.tv/cookingwithspices, where we're going to stream scary games like Resident Evil this month. It's brand cross promotion. Thank you to Gail Kitsune for our artwork. Thank you for our music, Apagio. And with that, I'm CJ, or should I say Spook J?
No, not that. And I've been Ethan.
And I've been Fran.
And don't drink city water ever.